What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. We got a little bit of a PSA news dump today. They announced, not really announced, but a lot of things got teased slash nuggets of information dropped into this Forbes article that came out earlier today. So a couple different things happened with PSA today. That's what we're going to talk about. Like, comment, subscribe. I am recording this Wednesday evening to go live Thursday morning. On early Wednesday morning, they announced a new round of funding. They are rebranding. PSA is still PSA, but instead of Collectors Universe, the parent company will now just be called Collectors. So that will make up WATA, PSA, Card Ladder, Golden, and any other future acquisitions that they may have. And they got another $100 million in a round of funding. So that was kind of like the Newswire brief. PSA put out a little blurb about it as well. And in there, they talk about a few different things. But what also came out hand in hand with that was a Forbes article. The Forbes article, very long read, and I will link to this, very, very good read, was an interview with Matt Turner and a bunch of other people at PSA, feature piece about PSA and collectors as a whole. And there is a ton of good nuggets in this. So let's kick off with the big thing first that you're probably going to see a lot of people talking about. And to me, it's interesting, but it's I don't want to say the least interesting thing, but they are launching a vaulting service. They have a new 11,000 square foot facility in Delaware, sales tax free state, that is going to be launching. There's no details on it yet, how it's going to work, but they talk about directly in this article about someone sending a card to them for grading, it being graded, it being put in their vault, and then being able to go ahead and list it and sell it on Golden. Now, as of right now, Golden tends to cater more towards higher end cards. So maybe this is more of a boutique service, if you will, that handles, $1,000, $10,000, $50,000 cards and up. I don't know. Once again, we know no details on this. And maybe Golden decides to make end runs into lower end cards. I mean, we've seen lower end cards, $1,000 cards, $500 cards listed on Golden auctions. But typically, those sorts of things don't sell quite as well on that platform or get as many eyeballs. People that are shopping on that platform are usually looking for higher end things. But maybe that changes all the time, whatever. But that is one thing that was kind of talked about in this Forbes article that PSA wants to vertically integrate. There's a whole nother video that I could probably do talking about how many freaking vaults do we actually need, but I do see some appeal here for high-end stuff anyway. That you don't, you get it graded and you're immediately sending it to Golden. You don't have to have it shipped back and forth to all these different places. You can send it in the Golden, get it graded, get it reholdered, drop it off to PSA at a convention or whatever, have it stored in your vault, and then have it go up and listed on Golden. And then it would, you can purchase and buy things and move things in and out of that vault like you can with PWCC, Alt, and all the other ones that are out there. But this does not feel like a commons man's vault like eBay is probably going to be. This feels like a higher end, maybe even above PWCC. We'll find out. But once again, to me, that is the least interesting thing in this. I mean, it's cool. It's interesting. We'll see what they do with it, but I'm kind of getting bored talking about vaulting services. Everybody has one at this point. This article kind of walks through the run-up and how things got a little crazy. They talk about, and once again, I will link to this. I highly recommend reading the entire thing. That initially, when Nat Turner's team took over, they had a grading capacity of 22,000 cards per day, but 100,000 per day were coming in. They also reference the infamous day in late March when they literally shut down the USPS Postal Service in Southern California. They talk about that they got 660,000 cards in a single day. For those that don't remember or weren't around, PSA was getting ready to do a massive price increase to help slow down demand. Word got out that this price increase was coming. I myself did multiple videos on it and hinted at it in multiple other videos, and they got slammed with cards because people wanted to beat the price increase. And the quote here is, we literally broke the USPS in Southern California. They called us and said they couldn't manifest the boxes. I think we rented school buses with security guards and drove to USPS to pick them up. Wild. Absolutely wild stuff. Like I said, I kind of remember when that happened, when they got just absolutely blitzed with packages. Then they go on to talk about the new vaulting thing in Delaware. They also talk about the new facility in New York. Once again, they talk about how that will be an asset in regards to hiring mostly new graders, but new employees in general, just to get them a base of operations to pull in talent on the East Coast for new job positions. They also talk about they are doing grading in Japan now. They have an office in Japan that they converted into a drop-off center to also a grading facility. So they're actually grading in Japan. Now we're starting to get into the more interesting things. One of the other things that they talked about was a product called Card Manager. Not a product, but an internal thing. Essentially what this is it's their new name for the Genamint software. If we remember, I've talked about this before. It's the software company that they acquired that can fingerprint a card. They're now calling it Card Manager, but formerly known as Genamint. I'll quote the article directly here. The idea is that artificial intelligence can supplement the humans in the grading assembly line, quickly identifying cards, pulling up comparison images, and running diagnostics, measuring the centering of the image on the card or the card's dimensions, for instance. The software should even be able to fingerprint, in air quotes, cards as it looks for unique anomalies in the surface, which will help detect alterations, and it can do this all at once. And they do explicitly state in this article that they will never be full AI grading. Nat and the team there believe that a human should still be involved in the process, and I 100% agree with that. They've kind of talked about for a while that the AI will be an assist to help streamline things and kind of identify things quicker and take some of the human element out of the more mundane tasks. But it sounds like a human will ultimately still be the one deciding on the final grade. And they even actually talk about how every card needs reviewed by 2 graders, and they kind of go on all that stuff. So that was interesting that they have changed the name of Genamint to Card Manager and given us a sneak peek of kind of how that's going to work. That's kind of how a lot of us assumed it was going to work, but to actually have it like laid out there. One of the really interesting nuggets in here was they actually tell us exactly how many graders they have, which we've never had that information before. With help from new internal training program known as Grading U, PSA now has more than 100 graders, up from 44 at time of acquisition. So when Nat and Collectors Universe purchased PSA, they had 44 graders. So in about a year and a half, I think that would be now, almost 2 years, they have added over 60 graders to the team. They are now up to 100 graders. So that gives you an idea of how many graders that they have. And it does talk about the actual training program that the employees have to go through. So, but that's really interesting that they have 100 graders, and you can start to kind of, it says over 100, so it's a loosey-goosey number. But that starts to get into some interesting, you can kind of start to run the math on how many cards they process in a day, how many are being graded, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. Because we kind of have a general idea. Now, Genamint's data, or not Genamint, GemRate's data isn't necessarily directly telling us how many were graded that day. It's telling us how many were added to the population report. So it's not necessarily a direct 1-for-1, but it gives you a general idea. So you can kind of backtrack into some numbers there on, some at least very loose numbers in regards to how many cards a day a grader looks at. And I'm sure it varies. I'm sure if you're grading an ultra modern base, a bull, you're probably spending a lot less time on that than you are an 86 Fleer Jordan. It's just kind of is what it is. They don't say that. That's me saying that. Continuing along here, and this is the number of graders thing I found extremely interesting. This one is very, very interesting, and I've heard rumors of this for over a year now. Cardholder, and once again, quoting the article directly, card card holders will gain new security features. They don't get into what that is. Future products might include an app that would allow a collector to generate a crude grade of their card at home so they could figure out whether to spend the time and money on professionally grading the service. Collector's team is also introducing, or we'll hold off on the back part of that. So essentially what they're going to do, and once again, I've heard about this for a while now, that PSA or / collectors wants to develop an app. You would scan your card with this app, and I assume it would be pulling Genamint technology or Card Manager now. It would be using some level of that technology on probably a lesser basis to scan your card, and it would roughly spit out a grade. If it's remotely accurate, that would be an absolute game changer. And I may do a completely separate video on this. But if that actually works, man, oh man, would that be a massive game changer in my opinion. If you could scan a raw card and it gives you an idea whether it's a 9 or a 10, and once again, if that thing has any amount of accuracy to it at all, to me, that is massive. Absolutely massive. I assume that would probably be a feature. Once again, this is me assuming, not the article, that would be a feature locked behind like a Collectors Club membership or something like that. I have a feeling there's going to be more value adds to get you into a Collectors Club membership. But to me, once again, I thought that was one of the most wildest things in here. They also talk about NFTs, but not selling NFTs. And this is probably where it gets back into security features. They talk about using NFTs as a way to improve the tracking and transacting of real world items. So essentially there would be an NFT attached to a PSA slab and you would be able to track. And I am not an NFT guy, so I am walking into the wrong end of the pool here on this one. But the way that I loosely understand it, and please in the comments below, please correct me, is that the NFT would allow you to show chain of ownership essentially of that card as it transferred from person to person to person, which would actually be kind of interesting. Imagine going back and seeing like, you know, Drake owned this card at one point in time or some other famous person or something like that. Would that add some weird value to it? I don't know. If you like look back and see, you know, that someone famous potentially owned that card at one point in time. So I found that interesting as well. Not surprised. That's kind of been talked about for a while. And then it talks more about the vaulting stuff. The last big piece on this article, which I was a little surprised by this. You know, I've been speculating a different direction on this for a long time now. Once again, I'll quote directly from the article. And this is talking about service fees. All involved concede that the day of $12 service fees for low-end cards are over. On the high end, too, prices might need to increase. With cards now selling for millions of dollars, even a $10,000 fee isn't worth the risk to collectors, the company, not us, that a card somehow gets damaged while it is in its possession. So once again, people always wonder, why does PSA charge a fee based off of what the card is worth? That's why. It's because of the insurance aspect of it, whether it's while it's in their possession, also the insurance of the shipping. There's a whole lot of things with that. There's the PSA guarantee that all plays into the value of the card, and that's the reason why they have the price band. I know a lot of people don't like it. They get angry about it, but that's their justification for it. Whether, you know, you like it or not is up to you, but that's the reason why they do it. It's not just because they want to. There is some justification behind it. So the interesting, and this is probably the biggest thing from the article besides the app, is that they are stating the days of $12 service fees are over for low-end cards. I've always speculated that would come back online. And I feel like Nats even said that they wanted to get back to lower grading fees. So maybe it ends up, I speculated, you know, anywhere from $10 to $20 for a low end. Maybe the base, maybe a bulk rate is 15 to 20 bucks. And it will never actually get back down to the $12 level. You know, maybe that's where we settle in at for, I feel like a $15 bulk grading fee is still a pretty good value. Once again, this is me just making up a number. I don't know about $20, how people would feel about $20 for bulk grading. We'll see. We will find out. But They're also clearly stating that $50 is not going to be their cheapest tier. That's their economy tier, and they said they do say in this that they have not brought back value tier pricing. So at some point in time, we will see value come back. The question is what does the price point look like on that? But it does sound like, $10, $12 grading fees are long gone, which I get. I also am a little surprised by it, and things could change, so we'll see what happens. And then they kind of really loosely hit in a fee increase there, at least on the high end stuff, which I could see. So that's pretty much, those were my main takeaways from this article. Once again, I kind of went through this and highlighted some things out of it that I wanted to specifically talk about, but I would encourage you reading the whole thing. There is some other good information in there. It talks about some of like the internal security features, about how there's cameras everywhere. Each individual card is in a bin that has a GPS tag on it, and along with a bunch of other technology in it, that essentially they know where every single card is in the building, it sounds like, or can track it based off where that card's at with some, whatever their internal tracking software is. There's just a lot going on. But very, very good article. 100% would recommend check it out. This was over on Forbes, was written by Brett Knight. Very, very good article. Once again, I will link to this in the description down below. So make sure you guys and girls check that out. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below. What is the big thing from this? For me, it's the app and the hint at fee structures. But to me, the biggest game changer here is the app. If the app works, man, oh man, I feel bad for people at value boxes. Because imagine sitting at a value box and just scanning cards over and over and over again if it works super quick to get an idea how they would grade. But I'd have to imagine you'd have to maybe that won't fly on the show floor for a value box because you're probably going to take it out of the penny sleeve to scan it. But maybe higher end raw cards, you would have that as a tool to get a dirty grade on a card. I just think that that's a huge tool if it works correctly and is semi-accurate. And I don't know what the accuracy percentage would need to be. But even if it gave you on a high-end card, even if it told you, hey, it's like a 9 borderline 10 or something, that it's not a PSA 7 because of something or whatever. I just think that would be very, very interesting. I don't know how it will work. Who knows? But once again, that's all I have for you guys and girls today. Probably a PSA submission video tomorrow. Like, comment, subscribe. We will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.